What's up, everybody? Welcome to Small Cap Recap. That's right, we're back. We're doing some short form recaps of the market, what we're seeing today, and I figured, man, what better time? The S&P 500 is down 1.5% today, and despite that, we still got some movers. Although I will say, it's something that a lot of traders notice is even when the markets are volatile, of course, we love volatility. It doesn't always mean that small caps are going crazy. A lot of times we start seeing those big bounce backs when the market starts to find a bottom. But regardless, we still are seeing some moves out there today. I actually want to recap a couple of those, but let's first start off with the overall markets. After some decent inflation news yesterday, today is March 13th. We had a little gap up and still we're not able to hold. As a matter of fact, we're breaking down to new lows that we haven't seen since September of 2024. Really not like that crazy, but it is a pretty big drop over the course of just a couple of weeks. The speed is increasing. Volume seems to be increasing as well. And yeah, just today we broke lows from a couple of days ago here. That level being right around 550, or 552 rather. Starting to break down under there. Volatility through the roof. Love to see it. And again, bringing some good opportunities about. Really quick, let's go on over a few of these moves. Show that there are still some both long and short opportunities in the market right now. I'm actually currently short, speaking of LFWD. This was both a good long opportunity and has since turned into a really good short opportunity. I got short for around $2.45 on this breakdown here. But right out of the gates, we had this really low volume gap up. Very late news that came here. I mean, the news came out at like 9:15. And so this is probably a good little video lesson to make right now. When we see news that comes out super late, unless it's like incredible news, a lot of times it leads to the stock having some quick spikes when it happens, and then, well, as I like to see, a lot of fades here later in the day. That's not always the case, but generally speaking, I like to see news that comes way earlier in the pre-market, right? News that proves that it's able to hold up, and it's really less about like what time the news comes out, more just about the idea that it gives itself more time to prove that the stock can hold up, that it respects support, respects resistance levels, and all that fun stuff. But regardless, we had a really nice quick spike out of the gates here. Pre-market high break at like 191, or sorry, rather 195, 196. And we ended up pushing up to 295 for a quick spike. If you're a pre-market high buyer, this was a really simple, easy trade. Got that halt up, and really after that, it gave one attempt. And this is something I like to look for too, to avoid the long side. We had a failed little lower high, or well, I guess technically higher low right here. Higher high. We had a higher low, I guess, from high a day. But right here, we tried to break out over this $2.83 level. We ended up pushing up to about $2.84, failing the level, and that seemed to be all the juice it had in it. Tanked pretty hard from there. Volume has faded off quite drastically. I'm now short, looking for a low a day break, ideally, but we'll see what we can get out of there. I'm trying to be patient with this thing. HMR, one that I wish I was short right now. This one had a lot better and I think a lot cleaner long opportunities here. Kind of going to go over some of what we see. Again, you're going to notice that I like talking about that pre-market high break, and that doesn't necessarily mean I like to buy the initial pre-market high break. It's not necessarily my favorite thing to do. But that said, what we end up seeing right here is when we break pre-market high, we had a gap up this morning. And as we break over that pre-market high and test it, then what we end up getting, let's throw VWAP up here. We end up getting some consolidation right over VWAP, and that breakout of that consolidation going straight through that pre-market high break from there, I think was a super clean, simple, easy entry, great risk reward. I mean, worst case scenario, probably risking like $3, entering around 330. Stock ends up running another $1.50 a share from there. And this is actually a lesson I was literally talking about in small cap rockets today. Guys, when we're able to take advantage of like really tight risk, it makes sense to hold for that full reward. And we're only risking, 20, 30 cents a share on a stock that is proving strength in a volatile market, breaking pre-market highs. We end up getting, a dollar, what was that, $1.50 a share run, 5-to-1 risk reward opportunity at its peak. But there's so many ways to sell, so many places to sell up along the way here. Had some resistance levels marked out by Oracle. Really simple sell target right here would have been right around $4, $4.09, breaking that whole dollar level. And taking the strength that we can get. But perhaps the craziest move of the day, probably one of the harder moves to trade of the day as well, was RGC. The stock came out of nowhere. No news, no gap up, nothing. I actually did try to short this stock, but my broker had it restricted today, so a little bit bummed about that. Although only slightly bummed. It hasn't really faded that far. This to me looks like one of those really choppy stocks where it's like probably just going to hang around these levels all day, chop between 9, 11, maybe 12, not quite break high a day. It reminds me a little bit of CRVO from yesterday, where we get this spike up, consolidation, tries to break highs, fades, tries to break again, fades, breaks at the very end of the day, hard reject, and now, we gapped up a little bit, then faded kind of all day from here. So it reminds me a little bit of that. This yesterday was, I believe, a pump, and this RGC probably is something pretty similar. So the opportunity on this trade, I think there probably was one decent spot to buy this, and that's after this gap up. We get this halt up, and then we open up around 850, dump down, halt down, and then all of a sudden we start recovering. And so you get this like low volume effect where shorts who are trading this, they didn't actually get that much liquidity, start skipping up really quickly without them getting the chance to get out. And so then we have this high day break right here at 850. The problem is you had to risk like $2.50 a share on this. From a risk reward perspective, I don't think it was a great trade, but it's still up even though it's fading now, 120% on the day. I just don't think there was a great opportunity on this, but nonetheless, it does show that there are movers on a daily basis here. There are trades that we're seeing have opportunity to make these moves. Today, we had, I think, one really easy opportunity on HMR. And this is I think this is a really important lesson that I want to reiterate one more time before I hop off of here, right? Look for the simple stuff, guys. It doesn't need to be overly complex. Pre-market highs, right? Of course, wildly simple. That doesn't need to mean buying the initial pre-market high break. Instead, let that thing break, let it prove itself, even if you were late on this, even if you missed this entry right here where we're looking at, right? We had another consolidation zone above the pre-market high breakout level right here. Beautiful, simple, easy break through that consolidation, 370s, risk on, 350s, 20 cents a share worth of risk. And again, it went up another $1 a share. That's another 5-to-1 risk reward entry from there higher up because we were able to lower our risk. So it's an exciting time to be trading. Right now, my only position is short LFWD. I did actually have a little bit of UVXY, but I sold that pretty quickly. I bought that right in. This is not a small cap trade by any means. Actually, not something I would normally trade, but market is volatile right now. Ended up getting this little dip here around 26.30 and just sold into this 26.70 spike. I tried the little dip right here, but I had zero conviction in it, so I ended up selling it for like a 10 cent a share gain. Literally, it didn't go down since then. It's up $1.50 a share since. So a little bit bummed about that, but that's what you get when you lack conviction in a trade. So guys, I think really important ending note on this market, or in this market, I mean, it's okay, right, to be a little bit uncertain of where the market's going, but there are repeatable setups out there. And if you're still getting your footing down, keep that size small, see what works, journal it down. And that's a big part of what these video lessons are going to be for on a daily basis. I want to show what's working so that you can actually go out there, take that hindsight advantage and apply it to real-time markets. So if you guys are a big fan of this small cap recap coming right on back, then please, however you're watching this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, whatever, follow on whatever platform it is. We're going to start trying to do these on a daily basis, quick recaps of the market, middle of the day, so that you guys can learn. Been a pleasure as always. Bryce Toohey out.